Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and another cook, and today we are doing a not so traditional roast beef dinner. So we're actually using this lovely Picanha rump steak, or it's also known as the rump cap. This is from the meat merchant in Moira, and you guys from over in Northern Ireland definitely check them out. They do some awesome meat. So we're going to be searing this off in the barbecue all over and then moving it indirect to finish it off. We're also then going to serve it with some Hasselback sweet potatoes, Hasselback regular potatoes, because kids don't like Hasselback sweet potatoes, and then some honey garlic carrots to go along with it as well. So we're going to start by preparing the picanha, and then we'll get everything else ready while this is searing. So I'm going to put a glove on for this. So you have a rather large fat cap on top of the picanha. You can see here that is a huge slab of fat on top of it, but you generally leave it on. But what I'm going to do is score it just to help it render down a little bit better. Picanha looks like quite a flat cut of meat, but whenever you cook it, it shrinks in quite a bit and then fattens out. The grain also, you can cut it one of two ways. The grain in it runs this way, as you can see from the fat running through it. You can cut it with the grain, which means that there's a little bit more bite to it, or if you're carving it up for like roast beef, I tend to cut against the grain. So to make it a little bit easier, once it's cooked, it's kind of hard to tell which way the grain's running. So what I like to do is, our grain is running this way here, so I'll flip it over and I'll score the fat in that direction. That way I know whatever way the scores in the fat are running is the direction the grain's going, and then I can cut against that. So I'm just going to take a sharp knife and score down into that fat. Now we're not going to season the fat, we're only going to add seasoning to the meat, but we're going to cook it fat side up, and then all that fat renders down through the meat and keeps it basted. And it is such a nice cut of roast beef. Again, it's not the most traditional, not everybody, they're kind of hard to get the hold of. Meat Merchant Moira is the first one I've actually been able to find it at, so definitely give them a try if you are in the area. So that all nicely scored. We're not going right the way down through and carving into the meat. This is just to put a few marks in the fat. Once that starts to cook and shrink up, the fat's going to render down into that meat and keep it nice and moist. Next step then, if we flip it over, the meat side is what we're going to be seasoning. So I'm going to first of all take this glove off so I don't get my bottle dirty. We're going in with a little bit of oil just to help the seasoning tack up to it. So this is the hickory smoked rapeseed oil from Brighter Gold. Again, you can use any flavour of oil you want or just a regular oil, but the hickory smoked stuff adds a little added layer to it. So we don't need a lot, just a little drizzle, just enough to help that rub stick to the surface. And the rub we're using today is the Gaucho steak seasoning from Angus Oink. It's a seasoning designed for steak, and the picanha, the flavours in this go really well with it. Maybe not traditional roast beef flavours, but it does work really well. So I'm going to give it a nice coating all over. Just pat that on to make sure it sticks to that oil we've applied. Try and get down the sides done as well. And picanha is one of them things, there's a lot of flavour in it on its own, so you don't want to go overboard with the seasoning and end up drowning out the flavours. So just make sure there's a nice light coating all over. And we're going to get that end as well. Looks good to me. So that's that ready for the barbecue. Now, as I said, we are cooking, we're going to finish this off indirect, but we want to sear it first just to seal in all the sides. So I'm actually going to go on the fat cap down first to get the fat rendering a little bit, and we're going to flip it over, sear the bottom of it, make sure the sides are nice and seared, and then move that over to the indirect side of the barbecue. I've the Barbechoo set up for around a temperature of about 180°C. So it's going to give us enough of a temperature to sear, do all our veggies, and then also continue to cook it through once we move it indirect. So we'll give this a quick sear off, and then we'll come back and talk about the potatoes because they're the next thing to go on. Okay, we've seared off that picanha on both sides and we've moved it over to the indirect side now just to finish. So that sear is really only to seal in the outside of it. It's still going to be pretty raw in the middle, so that's why we're mostly cooking this indirect. We're just searing it to get that nice crust on the outside of it first. It will get smoky. There is a lot of fat on that fat cap, so keep the lid down on your barbecue. That's sitting indirect. The next thing we need to get on is the potatoes. Potatoes are probably going to take just as long to cook as the picanha will, but we need to rest the picanha well at the end. That's the key to it, to keep it nice and juicy. So potatoes I've already sliced up into Hasselbacks. So if you're not sure what that is, you basically take the potato, slice down through it into nice thin slices, but you don't go all the way through, so it fans out into these little wedges kind of thing. As that cooks, they open up. You rub them with a little bit of oil, like so, and then you just roast them indirect, and they'll start to crisp up and go nice and soft in the middle. But the key is a little bit of oil, slice them nice and thin into little tiny wedges, and they cook far better. So a little bit of oil onto them, and then we're just going to hit them with some salt. And pepper. That's them ready to go on. So we're going to put them on indirect as well. We can just place them around that picanha. Then we're going to let things go for a little while. Whenever we start to come close to them, we're going to get the carrots prepared, and then they can go on. They only take around 20 minutes, so don't put them on yet. It'll be ready far too early. Our picanha roast has come on beautifully. The fat on top of it is rendered out nicely. It's got a lovely golden brown colour. Inside it is feeling pretty tender now when you push the thermopen into it. But I'm going to rest it for a while, and that should give us enough time to get the carrots on and cooked. The picanha I'm going to rest for at least half an hour because it is an incredibly juicy piece of meat, and you want to make sure those juices are spread out throughout the piece of meat, so resting it's really going to help. So I'm going to get a bit of tin foil down and we'll lift the roast off. That stays there. Just pop that down. Internal temperature. Yeah, we're setting pretty much 55-ish in the centre. So we're just going to wrap it up nice and tight. And we're just going to let that rest for a while. So I will pop it into a tray. I'll take it into the house, leave a few towels over it, and then we're going to come back and get the carrots ready. Okay, so I've started to melt down a little bit of butter here in a ramekin, and we're just going to every now and again brush these onto the Hasselbacks. They're actually pretty much there, so the butter's really just to finish them off. It sort of runs down in between each slice, really adds a little bit of flavour to them. Nice. So I have another skillet on here preheating too. This is what we're going to do the carrots in. So I'm going to add about 100 grams of butter in here. Just let that all melt down. Maybe just move this over the direct heat for now to get it started. Okay, once our butter has melted down, we're going to go in with roughly 2 cloves of garlic. And then roughly 2 tablespoons of honey. I hate measuring honey. Yeah, we'll go with that. Mix that all around and bring it up to temperature. So after a few minutes when your butter has started to simmer and bubble, your garlic will have started to cook down a little bit. It's time to go in with the carrots. So we're just using regular carrots. I've just chunked them down into small pieces, and we're going to add those into the butter. And we'll just go through, toss them about, make sure everything's coated in the butter and the honey. And the last thing is just a grind of salt in there, a little bit of pepper, and we're just going to move that to the indirect side, close the lid down and let them roast for around 20 minutes or so, and they should be nice and soft in the middle. Okay, everything is ready. The carrots have had about 20 minutes, half an hour, just to roast down, start to soften. They'll go a nice sort of dark orange colour on the outside. As long as they're fork tender, that's them ready to go. You can leave them in there a little bit longer to get some gnarly charred bits on them, but really as soon as they're tender, that's them at their sweet point. So I think we're going to carve up and start to build up a plate. Start off with our beef. This has been resting for a good 30 minutes or so. Loads of juices in the bottom of that pan. Get it, lift it out. And make sure you have a chopping board with channels on it, because this thing is juicy. Okay, so our fat is scored this way, so know this is the direction of the grain. So if it's sliced this way, we should be going against the grain. You'll expect that this is the fattest part here, so these first few slices aren't likely to be as pink in the middle. Off to the side, and now we'll start to get into the sort of slightly pinker bits. Good thing about picanha, you don't need to go overly thin slices, you can do pretty thick. I don't know if you can see that, it's starting to blush. Nice pink in the middle. Super soft. That's how I like picanha to be, and that's cutting it against the grain. You can see how sort of tender it pulls apart. Okay, so let's get everything else brought together then. We'll start with one of our Hasselback sweet potatoes that we've been brushing with butter the whole time. And here are honey roast carrots, nice and soft, dark golden brown colour, a little bit sticky. The butter has really browned down. The honey glazed them all nicely. Cast iron just gives them that nice little edge to them. Perfect. Onto your plate with some of those. There's a little bit of grilled broccoli, asparagus stems as well, and the star of the show are slices of picanha. Just take one more off. So guys, that's a little bit of a twist on a traditional roast beef dinner. You can add gravy in there if you want, change up the veg, but if you want to give this one a try, I'll leave the link to the recipe, which will be on my website down below in the description box. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.